What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Bullish Chips, where we use a proven and repeatable strategy to make money every day. This channel happens to focus on the Bullish Semiconductor ETF, which goes by the ticker symbol SOXL. But the charting method and the trading method that we use can be implemented with any company that's publicly traded in the U.S. stock market. So make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe and notification button as well. That way you're alerted to when we release new videos. We do release bonus content from time to time, so you want to be alerted when we release those videos. Now, the nightly and weekend videos like tonight's video focus on identifying triggers and targets for trades ranging from, scalps and intraday trades all the way up through long-term swings and leap trades as well. So if you want a deeper dive into exactly how we set up our charts, broadening formations, levels of support and resistance, things of that nature, make sure you check out the bonus content on our YouTube page. We've got a couple of videos that dive deeper into that for you. And if you're not familiar with this strat, make sure you check the description of this video. There is a link to this free PDF quick reference guide for the strat. It gives you all the basics for the strat so that you can get a quick understanding of it. It's very simple to learn, very simple system, but you get a lot of value and information on price action using that strategy. So I do encourage you to watch the full video. We have triggers and targets for short-term time frames, but we also talk about long-term or higher time frames as well. So gives some pretty good insight on all different levels. Let's go ahead and check the agenda for today's video. We'll go ahead and recap the price action from Tuesday, February 24th before we zoom out like we always do and take a look at the week, month, quarter, and year price action. And after that, we'll zoom back in, take a look at the triggers and targets for Wednesday, February 25th, and we'll do a quick review of the triggers and targets for the week, month, quarter, and year as well. All right, so just moving to the charts, starting off at the 5-minute like we always do. This is the way that we take advantage of our proven and repeatable strategy. That strategy is to look for higher lows at or above opening print to get into calls, or look for lower highs at or below opening print to get into puts. Opening print being the first traded price of the day. And there is some nuance that can be thrown into that equation once you get used to the strategy that we are able to exploit. But until then, just the basic rules are higher lows at or above opening print, look to get into calls, lower highs at or below opening print, look to get into puts. And this is mostly for, the early day trades, right? When market first opens, trying to get those early scalps, or just an earlier entry into a longer day trade, right? So today was a little bit more complicated. Again, we opened basically at a bunch of resistance points, right? So we have this, there we go. Our opening print is here at 68.11, and we have this longer dashed orange line coming through, just slightly going down to the right. That is a daily downtrend line. We have a 1 hour broadening formation right here, this light blue line. We've got last week's high right here on this purple line, and we've got the 178.6 fib extension of the range that we were in at the end of 2025. So knowing that, you probably want to be a little bit more patient. However, today did not actually reward patience, right? Unless you were taking just higher lows outside of the knowing where the opening print is at. That was your only trigger, if I get my words right. If I go ahead and scrunch this down a little bit and bring Friday's price action into view here, you can see that the first candle here today pushed down. We got to this previous high day, so gap close, gap fill reversal essentially here. It did push down a little bit further than just closing the gap, probably to draw in a few more bears. But we have the 138.2 fib extension of last year's price action, as well as the 78.6 fib retracement of the pullback from the January high this year. So levels of support right here, mixed with levels of resistance, in comparison to where we opened. Right now, if we opened down here, then these levels would have been resistance as well, but we opened above them, so they did act as levels of support here today. And you can see early on it did, right? We basically filled the gap, poked down a little bit below, popped back up. As soon as this candle went 2 up above the high of this 2 down candle, we now have a higher low, right? So that could have been your trigger if you're knowing that you might want to have, put a little bit more risk on the table. The reason why I say that is because, that proven and repeatable strategy really cuts down on the risk that you put on the board when you're buying below opening print, when you're trying to buy calls below opening print. There is a more often than not, a lesser chance of pushing high, unless you're bouncing off of some level of historical support, right? So it's essentially what we got here. We pulled back, got a bounce off of historical support. So your entry would have been here, pushed up to overnight high. Of course, that's the final target for the early morning scalps based off of opening print, right? Because we opened above previous high day. When we get into those calls above opening print, we're looking for previous high day and overnight high. Now, it doesn't mean you have to sell everything here, but for that particular proven strategy, that is the final move, right? Now, if we come up here and we start pushing above with some momentum, we're getting higher lows, things of that nature, then obviously you want to, have your runners to let run, and we can look at like the 4-hour time frame and the 1-day time frame, look at our notes on those and look at the triggers and targets there, so that we have further targets to aim for. But when buying something quick early on in the morning based off of this opening print and the strategy that we use, that is technically the ultimate in today's price action. That was the ultimate target there, right? Because again, we're above previous high day. And we did get a little bit of a rejection there. We pushed down, did get a higher low, but ultimately got a lower high, kind of convoluted lower high because of this 3 candle, right? It pushed down first, so that locked this in as a lower high, but then went above this too, giving this, making this essentially a higher low, a soft higher low in comparison to this low down here, and then making a higher high in comparison to this high here, right? So a little bit convoluted, and pulled back again a little bit further. It was kind of a bull flag situation. Bull flags tend to slant down before they pop. Bear flags tend to slant up before they drop. So kind of a bull flag look here. Got the support off of last week's high right here. Popped up, went just through opening high, overnight high, but then ran into this daily downtrend line that we've got going here, right? So more resistance, and you can see it just essentially went sideways. A little bit of a pullback here. You did have the opportunity looking on the 15-minute. This was a lower high. Was it right there, or was it a little bit further? I can't remember. Yeah, it was like an equal high, slightly lower high situation. So if you were able to recognize that on the 15, extrapolate that out on the 5-minute, then you could have made a little bit of a money here. The bounce here did give us, if we go back to the 15-minute, the bounce here off of last week's high did give us, no, that wasn't a higher low. Yeah. In comparison to this low, that was a lower low. So yeah, there was no real trigger here once we went higher, which is, probably a good thing, because it didn't really go anywhere. Again, it ran into that daily downtrend line. This is the only trade that we actually participated in today on the 15-minute. Once we saw this, just continued, I don't want to call it rejection, but lack of breakthrough on this daily downtrend line. Once we got this lower high on the 15, we did enter puts here, took it down to opening print, got rid of most of our position there, and then rode back up, got this higher low, and then ended up exiting here. So the runners, still profit, but did get a little bit of pullback in comparison to where we sold the majority of the position. So not the biggest deal in the world, still made profit, and just basically we're patient today, right? There wasn't a whole lot going on after that first pop in the morning. So if you didn't get that first pop in the morning with the higher low on the 5-minute in comparison to Monday's price action, you really didn't have an opportunity for a whole lot today, right? So consolidation profit, I guess we could say, unrealized profit if you didn't exit on any swings that you may be in to the upside. But we do have March calls, so this did definitely benefit them today. But not a whole lot of intraday price action to be traded off of with this sideways action. So had to be on those real low time frames to get any of that. The 1-hour time chart, let's bring this out a little bit. On the 1 hour, right, we got this higher high in comparison to these highs right in here. So that's looking good. We popped above last week's high. So we did go 2 up on the week. We still need to get that 71.85. We'll look at that here in a second. It's in order to go 2 up on the year. I'm sorry, not on the year. To go higher high on the week. But like I said, we'll take a look at that here. But in terms of the 1 hour, not a whole lot to glean from this, except for this could just be some more bullish consolidation, because technically we did have a lower low here. This was a soft higher low, and then we had this lower low candle. Then we had a soft lower high here, and we're coming back down. We haven't made a lower low yet, so there's not this downtrend that has really started. It's just more consolidation, higher lows and lower highs, just consolidation. So just got to look at where we're at in comparison to previous price action. We're up towards the top of that range that we've been trading in for a few weeks now. So again, kind of want to be cautious here. Want to make sure that we're not doing some type of look above and fail back down into the range. We want to get that that solid higher low on the definitely at least the 1 hour, maybe the 4 hour, at the top of the range, to just get to before we jump into anything new long, right? If you already have longs, that's one thing, but jumping into a new long at the top of the range that's being traded in without some type of higher low to confirm that top of that range is now support, is a little bit more risky. So again, I would never tell anyone exactly how to trade. How you trade is up to you, but our strategy over here doesn't employ that buying calls right at the edge, right? We need some type of higher low on some time frame. If it pops above tomorrow, maybe we look for the higher low on the 1 hour, maybe even the 15, to get involved early, and then wait for that higher low on the 4 hour or day above the high of the range to really put some money into those longs. But just when you're I don't want to say totally risk adverse, but when you're looking for less risky plays with still a large amount of profit that you can get, you got to be patient. We will only speak to this year because, or the past year, because that's only how long this channel has been running, right? We've been trading for a long time, but this channel has been running about a year, and we had to wait a long time for those April 7th lows. It was a little over 2 years actually that we waited, but they paid off. And so we want to just make sure that we're still being patient and letting things come to us, right? Let the triggers trigger. Don't jump the gun. That's the biggest way to really lose some money, because the play could end up playing out the way that you thought it would. But if you're a little early, you can get stopped out in places, and you don't need to be the first one in the move, especially if you're taking something with a good risk to reward, right? You don't want something that's 1-to-1 risk to reward, right? You want that 2, 2.5, 3, 4-to-1, right? And then in that way, the reward that you're going after is substantial enough that you don't need to be the first one in and the last one out, right? If you can get a good 60, 70%, 80% of the move that you're looking for, or that you can see on the chart, that's magnificent. That's great, right? If you can get those bottom ticks and top tick the bottom and tick the top of the move, more often than not, it's more lucky. It's hard to do that consistently, but if you can do that, hey, more power to you. But we like to choose moves that we don't need to be the first one in, and we don't need to be the last one out to make a good amount of money. So that's what we're waiting for here. That's why we were really patient today, and really only played that little bit of downside in anticipation of some type of higher low here on that 1 hour time frame or 4 hour time frame. Right? If we're looking at bring up the 4 hour time frame. Get a little cleaner chart there. There we go. 1 hour time frame. Right? We've made this higher high now in comparison to this high. And now we're just looking, where is that higher low, right? Do we push up, hit that 71.98, go two up on, not two up, go higher high on the week, and two up on the month, before we come back down and make that higher low somewhere in this, 68, really 70, $71 area, right? Anywhere in this kind of range right here. If we get some type of higher low at or above this area right here, then we're looking to get into that move to the top, right? Or pushing back up, right? But again, the patience is all that we need to have at this point, right? Nothing's breaking down on the higher time frames, the week and up. We're just watching this volatility on the day and below time frames, and just trying to play the triggers correctly, all right? Speaking of the day, let's go to the day real quick. All right, so we got the 2 down, 2 up that triggered today, it ran its strat to completion, right? There wasn't a lot of magnitude here. You enter at the high of yesterday's candle and you exit at the high of Friday's candle, right? That's the move for the strat when you're talking about just playing it by the book. But we got some follow through here, and we've got this, still this messy 3 combo 2 down, combo 2 up that would run its course at 70.86. So that is a possible point where we can push up a little bit more tomorrow before we see some type of turnaround to push back down into the range. But we do have like Nvidia's earnings tomorrow, things of that nature. Just going 2 up on the month and making a higher high on the week could be triggering enough in itself to continue to push us higher as well. But yeah, right now, just sitting at the top of that range, just trying to exercise patience, right? On the week chart, this is what we were talking about. We went 2 up today, right? So this is last week, inside candle, we went 2 up. And we're just looking to go higher high. 71.98, higher high up here, right? If we get above 71.98, then we've got this higher low, higher high. We continue this uptrend. Things are looking good from the week perspective. The reason why I continue to bring up that 71.98 is because, yes, we've gone 2 up, but when you have the 1-2 combination, you have to be careful that the next week is not going to be a 2 in the reverse direction for a 1-2 reversal, right? That's personally one of my favorite strat reversals to play. So that is another reason why I'm trying to be cautious, right? If we get this 1, we got the 2 up this week. If we just kind of float around in here and maybe even start to fade towards the end of the week, maybe Nvidia earnings aren't great. Doesn't mean that the market has to tank, but if we get some type of pullback, now we've got a 2 up with a decent wick on the top. And then next week, if we go 2 down, if we go below this week's low, then that triggers a 1, 2 up, 2 down. Technically, the magnitude will only take us to the low of the candle to the left of the 1. So not a whole lot of magnitude there, but it's enough to, if we haven't made a higher high at that point, okay, now we have to look at, are we going to start a downtrend, right? I don't know that we would start a downtrend. I think we're going to get some more sideways action if we don't go make this higher high. Things seem to be remaining, pretty strong in the microchip area. So, we'd have to see a little bit more breakdown. Maybe we'll have to see exactly what happens at Nvidia's earnings before we would have any type of tell as to whether or not we're looking at trying to go make a lower low. But at worst, right now, we've got bullish consolidation at the highs of the move, right? So nothing to be really afraid of. On the month chart, it's the same thing we've been talking about for a few months now. There is the possibility of the 1, 2 up, 2 down on the month. Right, so we're still inside. We're in that upper third of last month's price action, so the threat isn't really there right now, but it's just a possibility, right? Just with the candles, the numbered candles that we have, 1, 2 up, it just leaves 1, 2 up, 2 down on the board. So until we make another 2 up and continue to push higher, that threat will always be on the board. Now the month is coming to an end. We've got the rest of this week, and that's it. So I highly doubt that we're going to pull back all the way enough to make a 2 down on the month. Nvidia earnings would have to be like super horrible, plus some other type of catalyst out there to really drive us that low by the end of the week. So I don't think that that's going to happen. But if we finish inside this week, if we finish inside this month, then that makes a 1, 2 up, 2 down, or a 1, 2 down, 2 up a possibility for the next couple months. So pushing up with caution, right? That's kind of how we're looking at it. Nothing has broken down on the week, month, quarter, year. Speaking of the quarter, we ran that 1 combo 2 down, combo 2 up strat. That finished at 70.08. So that's why you've got this little bit of a wick here, a little bit of a pullback after we went and completed that strat. Now we do have 74.21 that we could get to for all-time high. We'll have to see if that happens, but from the quarter perspective, not much else to look at or be waiting for. We've really got to wait for the month and the week charts to make some type of pullback or something like that to really give us another trigger to the upside that we would be looking for on the year chart. On the quarter chart. Right, and the same thing applies for the year. Right, early on this year, we went 2 up, triggering this 2 down, 2 up. It reached magnitude at 70.08. So again, not much else to look at here from the year perspective. All right, that is everything from a zoomed out perspective, or everything from the 1 day to the 1 year chart. Let's go ahead and bring up the chart for tomorrow. so that we can kind of prepare for early morning trade and then trade throughout the rest of the day, right? So first thing we want to do is make sure that we have the 4-hour markers on the board. Those are previous high a day, overnight high, overnight low, and previous low a day. Now, overnight low will probably change overnight. Let's activate that. Let's go ahead and bring it down. We'll just bring it down to about here for illustration purposes. And then overnight high may end up going higher. We'll say it's up by previous high a day, right? So pretty decent size overnight price action. It's kind of what we had the past few nights. Or nights and mornings when you combine them. So I don't think that's anything crazy to think that the overnight high could be up here and overnight low could be here. But let's just say by the open, we open, let's get the right tool out. Let's say we open towards the highs, right? This is, where we bring in the proven and repeatable strategy, right? For those early morning scalps, we want to look at that price action and we want to look for calls if we get highs. We want to look for calls if we get higher lows at or above opening print. Targets to the upside would be overnight high and previous high a day. So if this were the situation tomorrow morning, not a whole lot of magnitude there, and would really need to see a higher high above previous high. A higher low above previous high a day to really be any type of trigger, just because we've got this daily downtrend line that's coming right down through there, right? So not a lot to look forward to the upside should that be how we open. If we open up here and get some type of pullback, maybe bounce off of last week's high and push back up, but then end up getting some type of lower high at or below opening print, then we want to look to get into those puts. And this is where we would have a lot more magnitude, right? First target would be overnight low. Second target would be previous low a day, right? So higher lows at or above opening print, look for calls. Lower highs at or below opening print, look for puts. Let's say we open more towards the low, right? This would give you a little bit more magnitude to the upside, but still probably more even, in comparison upside to downside. If we were to get this type of open, right? If we opened here, pushed up, maybe rejected off of this 1-hour downtrend line, and then got some type of higher low at or around the last week's high, which is above opening print, then we would look to get into those calls. And then obviously overnight high and previous high day would be those targets. If we open here and we push down, maybe we get a bounce off of this hourly broadening formation, or this 138.2 fib extension of last year's price action. We get a bounce there and then we push back up, but then get some type of lower high at or below opening print. Then we want to look to get into puts. Obviously overnight low would be out of the picture at that point, and previous low a day would be the target, right? So I think that we talked about that enough. Let's go ahead and switch over to the 4-hour chart and look at things from more of a day trade perspective. Let's get this bigger for people on phone. And here we can see, this is just the range that we've been trading in lately, right? So right here from 58, 59 up to 70, 71, right? We're back up towards the top of that range. So again, we want to be patient. If we're looking at things strictly from just the STRAT perspective, we have a possible 2-1, 2 down reversal, or a 2-1, 2 up continuation that could take place in that first 4-hour candle of Wednesday's price action. If we do get the 2-1, 2 down, that triggers obviously at the low of the 1, and the exit is at the low of the 2 to the left of the 1, or yesterday's low, right? If we get to the upside, then obviously the trigger is the high of the 1. You want to enter there, and you would want to exit at previous high a day. Right, that's just based purely off of the STRAT. Those are the moves, the triggers, and the magnitudes, right? Obviously, we can break through that previous high a day with some momentum and continue to push up, but looking at it strictly from a STRAT perspective, that is the entry, that is the exit. That is the entry, that is the exit, all right? On the day chart, again, we went 2 down, 2 up. Let's get this a little cleaner here. There we go. We went 2 down, 2 up today. It already reached its STRAT completion, so already already going to extended targets, essentially re-kicking off this kind of messy 3 combo 2 down, combo 2 up situation that we've got going here. If we do go 2 up on the day tomorrow to continue that, obviously the exodus here at the high of the 3, that 70.86 level that we talked about, but ultimately you'd like to see that 71.98 reached, right? Give you that higher high on the week time frame. If we go to the downside, that does trigger a 2 up, 2 down entry at the low of Tuesday's price action and exit at the low of Monday's price action, right? So decent magnitude there, but keep in mind we are in an uptrend, and last week's 50% level has been a level of support for us so far. So first also would have to break through the week flip, right? Flipping the week from green to red. So got quite a few reasons that if we do go to the downside in that first 4 hour candle tomorrow, don't get too far ahead of your skis thinking that we're just going to go all the way back to the bottom of the range. We do have some support here that could keep us up. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to our notes here. We've been looking at the charts quite a bit. Let's just look at the cold hard numbers, right? So for Wednesday, February 25th, there will be 215 trading days left in 2026, and the close price on Tuesday, February 24th was 68.55. What I'm trying to say, the flip of the week is 65.85. So got about $3 to go before the week would flip red, but that is the level would flip red at. The month flips red at 59.51, and the quarter in the year flip red at 45.13. So right now we're just sitting full time frame continuity to the upside. Week, month, quarter, and year are green. We know the market maker's expected move for the week was $9.08 from the close price on Friday, giving us an expected range of 76.19 to 58.03. We're just sitting in the middle of that right now. We know that there are no gaps above, but we do need to be aware of the gaps below as they can act as magnets. So we've got those in our notes here as well. And we talked about from a scalping perspective early in the morning. We want to look for higher lows at or above opening print to get into calls, and lower highs at or below opening print to get into puts. We talked about on the 4 hour time frame, if we go to the downside, that does trigger a 2-1-2 down at 68.18, magnitude of that being 66.35. And technically, if we do get to 66.35 and below, that would trigger this 1-2 up combo 2 down. Magnitude of that move 63.47. It is a rather large move in the face of an uptrend. So if we don't make it all the way down to magnitude, these are the 2 possible points of inflection where price could either reverse or go sideways. On to the upside on the 4 hour, if we do trigger that upside, it will be a 2-1-2 up, triggering at 69.44, and again, not a lot of magnitude there, $70, so a little less than 60 cents there in that magnitude. But we do have the extended target of 70.86, which is the completion of that 3 combo 2 down, combo 2 up, and then the 71.98 extended target as well, which is the 2 up on the month and the higher high for the week. All right, now that would lead us into our triggers and targets on the day. To the downside, 66.35 is the magnitude of the 4 hour move, and that's the trigger of the 1 day move. And that would take us down to 64.75 as a target. Magnitude. Target, because the magnitude is 63.47 in the face of an uptrend. So we've got an intermediate target here. Just in case we're going down kind of weak or slowly, you may want to look at 64.75 as a place to get out should we reach it, and kind of just be moving sideways, right? But the magnitude of this 2 up, 2 down is 63.47. Should we reach 63.47 and continue with momentum, we do have these extended targets out here for you. Remember, NVIDIA's earnings are tomorrow, so just keep that in mind. It could add a little added level of volatility to the equation during the day. So we do have those further out extended targets just in case we get some of that larger movement that we get on those NVIDIA reporting days. If we go to the upside on the day chart, that just gives us this 2 up continuation, triggering at $70 flat. Target being that 71.98, which gives us the 2 up on the month and the higher high on the week. And then with our extended targets out here, including this 74.21, which is the all-time high. All right. Now on the week, we know that we've triggered this 2 up, 2-1-2 up. 68.22 was the target. 70.86 is the magnitude of that move. We haven't quite reached it yet, but that is the magnitude of that move. We get above that 70.86, that puts us into a 2 down combo, 2 up, with a further out magnitude of 71.98, and then we've got our extended targets out here listed for you. Again, 74.21 is the all-time high, and we've got some blue sky territory targets listed out here for you as well. On the month, we're still inside, still towards the upper third of last month's price action, so still sitting more bullish than bearish, even though it is an inside month. And we know that if we go to the upside, that gives us a 2 up continuation at 71.98, like we talked about a little bit earlier. And then we've got 74.21, that all-time high, as the target, and as well as some blue sky territory targets out here for you. Now, again, we've only got a couple of days left in the month, so don't know how far we would go up into these extended targets should we, reach that 71.98 level, but we've got to have them out there for you anyways, just in case, right? NVIDIA earnings and economic data and geopolitical things, you just got to keep that out there. If we do go to the downside, we would need a 45.08. We need to get below that to give us a red 3 on the month. Or I'm sorry, a 2 down on the month. We haven't gone 2 up yet, so it wouldn't be a red 3. But to go 2 down on the month, we've got to get all the way down to 45.08. But if that were to happen, that would trigger technically the 1 2 up 2 down, and that magnitude is 28.12. So even if we get to 45.08 by the end of the month, probably won't reach magnitude, but we could get a 1 2 up combo 2 down in the next month to reach that magnitude of 28.12. Not saying that's where we're going. We just got to put out there what can happen, right? We just got to wait for things to trigger, right? If we never go below 45.08, we don't need to worry about that, right? But if we get above 71.98, then we can start worrying about those higher highs. Quarter, we talked about it when we looked at the charts. We ran the 1 combo 2 down, combo 2 up strat, reached magnitude. So really just waiting around on the quarter for something on the month and below to make some type of move. And the same goes for the year, right? We ran the 2 down, 2 up strat, so not a whole lot more to look at from the year perspective. But yeah, that's basically what we've got for the triggers and targets for everything ranging from scalping trades up to leap swings, everything on the 1 year chart, right? So hope everybody enjoyed today's video. Like always, we try to jam in as much information as possible without taking up too much of your time. So if you did enjoy today's video, a thumbs up goes a long way, really helps the channel grow. We don't have any memberships. We don't charge for anything. We just try and put out as a little bit of information to help make things a little bit easier for people when it comes to trading, right? So free channel. Hopefully we get a few free likes. I think it's a pretty good exchange for what we're delivering. And again, we're just trying to help the channel grow and reach as many people as possible. We don't say that you need to use our strategy, but if you can pick out a few things that might help your strategy, that's great as well. If you pick up end up taking the whole strategy that we use, even better, right? But as long as it's something that can help make trading a little bit easier for you, that's all we're trying to do. So again, a like goes a long ways. If you think a share will work or will help out even more, go ahead and give it a share, and maybe we can add some more people to our community. But anyways, I'll go ahead and end the video here, stop my rambling. We'll end it like we always do. If you're watching this Tuesday night, we hope you get some good rest tonight. If you're watching this Wednesday morning or Wednesday during the day, we hope you got some good rest last night, and we look forward to getting out there and trading with you.